a scale from 1 to 5, 6.
What's up? What it is? What it do? How y'all feeling? It is your boy Alan C. And the place to be. Y'all know what it is, man. Welcome to a brand new episode of Al You Bugging, Divisional Round matchup version of Al You Bugging in the playoffs. We won't get into those games in a minute, but do want to say give a shout out to my Sideline Talk family as always. Shout out Herb, Tay, John. What up, bro? Tay just had a birthday this week. My happy birthday. I hope it was as blessed. Hope you had a blessed, a wonderful day. On the ticker, follow Al You Bugging on X and Instagram at Al_U_bugging. You might as well just say Instagram because I'm leaving X. We can get into that later. I don't do politics on this podcast, but yeah, I'm leaving X. But follow me on Instagram at Al_U_bugging. All right, man. We got divisional round playoff games coming up this week. Not this week. Today. This weekend, I should say. Let's start with the first game. You got Houston Texans at Kansas City Chiefs. That's kicking off at 4:30 today. The Texans played the Chargers last week and blew them out in outstanding fashion. But it's going to be a very tall, tough task for them to play the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. Let's get into the injury report. Mecole Hardman is out. He's trying to come back from IR, but he is out. And Jalen Watson, cornerback for Kansas City, is questionable. They might let him play. And for the Texans, Al Shahir is questionable. He had limited participation on Thursday's practice. Robert Woods haven't practiced all week. They officially list him as questionable. Joe Mixon didn't practice on Friday. On Thursday. He did practice Wednesday. They officially listing him as questionable. So if he does play, one, it's going to be a shock, and two, he's not going to be fully healthy. And they need. So let's break it down this way. Since Kansas City Chiefs are two-time defending champions, they've been here before. They haven't played since Christmas Eve. No, they haven't played since Christmas. They're actual starters. After that game, the following week they rested, and then the week after that they rested. They had to bye because they were the number one seed. So they haven't played a game since Christmas with their starters. But again, there's nothing new for Kansas City. Even though they didn't get the bye last year, I believe they got it the year before. And they won the Super Bowl. So nothing's changed. Do see them winning this game. But for Houston to make this thing close, what I do like about Houston, like I said, Kansas City is rested, and Houston got into the playoff swing last week against a lesser foe, the Los Angeles Chargers. However, Houston all year has had a top-notch defensive back room. Their DBs have been on it all year. Shout out Kamari Lassiter. Shout out to Derek Stingley. Those boys. They've been playing very well. That bodes well against Kansas City, who likes to throw the ball all over the yard. I mean, they have kind of struggled. And when I say struggle, I use that word lightly because, it's Kansas City and they are the number one seed, but they haven't been throwing it as effectively as they have compared to Kansas City of old. So I think Houston's defense is going to be right there playing tough. Not only do they got the defensive backs, man, they got edge rushers. Danielle Hunter and second-year player Will Anderson, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, followed up with a great season last year with a great season this year. So his first 2 years in the league have been special. Um, so Will Anderson can definitely pressure Pat Mahomes. So I see them keeping it close early. I do have them keeping it close early. Sorry about that. Have them keeping it close early, and Kansas City pulling away late in the game. But like I said, Houston defense is fit to contend with Kansas City's offense. I don't know if Houston's offense could contend with that great defense of Kansas City. Mentioned Will Anderson won Defensive Player of the Year. Well, CJ Stroud won Offensive Player of the Year, and he hasn't. I'm sorry, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he hasn't followed that up with a great sophomore season. So I believe that defense, with George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, and them guys can get to CJ and make it tough and make life hell for the Texans, especially if Joe Mixon is not playing. Joe Mixon is a dual threat running back where he's a power running back, and you also got to contend with him catching passes out the backfield. So if he's not ready to go, that right there can change life for Houston right there. So we have that. But yeah, I got Kansas City winning this game by at least 10. The Commanders are taking on Detroit later on tonight. So DC versus Detroit is the nightcap tonight at 8:15. This one right here, this one is a toss-up. This is the closest game this weekend. Well, no, not the closest game. Let me stop capping. This game right here is going to be interesting because Detroit is getting their running back, David Montgomery. He's back. He's active. He's ready to go. So Sonic and Knuckles is back in the backfield for Detroit for the first time in almost a month. So you got that, and the Commanders have been struggling against top running backs to stop the run. So this is not the game for that. However, Kevin Zeitler, their right guard, is out. Their rookie corner, and his Rakestraw is questionable. But yeah, Tyler Decker, Terrion Arnold, and David Montgomery for the Lions. They were on an injury report earlier this week. They're playing. As far as the Commanders, Jordan McGee is out, Mikael Walker, but they don't really have any serious injuries to note on that squad. But the rookie, JD, I think he can test Detroit Lions and their defense. And if they keep it close, Jaden Daniels is slowly but surely building a rep of being clutch. So Jaden Daniels could definitely make sure that this game is clutch and closer than it needs to be. And like I said, if they keep it close, I'm not ruling out the Commanders winning this. JD has had unsurmountable, that's not even the word I'm looking for, had incredible poise. It's just absolute incredible poise for a rookie. Like I mentioned with CJ Stroud, you got to follow it up. But JD has had a great and should be offensive rookie of the year campaign this year. But I want to see what Aaron Glenn on defense, what he can do to rattle the young rook. Aaron Glenn has been calling amazing games this year. I think his game plan defensively has been very good. So I want to see what he can do against the rookie. See if he's the one that can rattle JD and make him look like a rookie. But DC playing with house money, no one is really giving them a great chance to go into Detroit. Like I said, I'm giving them a chance that they can keep it close. If this game gets to 20-7 or get somewhere around there, Detroit's going to take a run. But if this game is looking 20-17, I wouldn't be surprised if Commanders went through and pulled this one off. All right, so we got that. And then tomorrow's games. The first game is the LA Rams versus Philadelphia Eagles. Houston looked good, but the Rams looked the best in championship. Wild card Monday night, against the Vikings. Their pass rush was relentless. Jared Verse, by far, defensive rookie of the year. It's not even close. And Matt Stafford with those two corners. With those two wide receivers, Puka and Cooper Kupp. I want to see what they can do against the corners and that defense over there for Philly. I think Philly defense is going to be the main thing that makes this thing go, because they have to keep this close. I do not know what's going on with Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts has not played well. Coming back from a concussion, he hasn't played besides last week, I don't think he played in like a month or so. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks he's missed before last week. So hopefully he can look better. Saquon Barkley set a franchise record in rushing yards. So that's why I think their defense is going to be key, because if they keep it close, they can go ahead and take Saquon Barkley and use Saquon Barkley to bring this game home and go into championship Sunday against whoever. And I like their chances against whoever, Washington or Detroit. But they got to get past this game first, slow down their wide receivers. I would be remiss if I didn't say Kyron Williams is playing well this year. So I think Kyron Williams, but that front of Jordan Davis, their front is just crazy. So I can't see how LA could keep this game any type of competitive if the secondary for Detroit. I'm sorry, for Philly is stepping up. I just don't see this game being competitive for LA. And shout out to everybody in LA that's going through the fires, is going through their rebuild of pretty much life over there. You have my heartfelt sympathies. But just speaking, LA versus Philly, don't see a shot. Not trying to be I wouldn't really consider it a homer, but a close home for Philly. I don't see that. I don't see LA keeping up with Philly at all this weekend. If I had to go with a score prediction, let me say 30-14, 30-17, Philly. I just think this game will be the one game this weekend, besides maybe the Chiefs, that'll just get away. And Houston played Kansas City close last time they played. So I don't even think that game's going to get away. If a game did get away this weekend, it would be Philly versus Rams. And that's the Sunday game tomorrow, 3 o'clock, first game. All right. Nightcap. The nightcap game. 2 MVP talent worth quarterbacks. I do believe Josh Allen has did enough to win the MVP this year, especially going by the logic of Lamar Jackson winning the MVP last year. But I think AP just were shocked. The Associated Press, sorry, I think they were just shocked at how well Lamar Jackson this year threw and ran the ball. And, 40 touchdowns or 4 interceptions is just, that's crazy for somebody they thought should go to wide receiver. Um, but that's neither here nor there because it's not Lamar versus Josh. It's the Bills versus the Ravens. And the Ravens defense has been stepping up. Last time they played week 4, you could throw that matchup out. Teams have changed differently. They're doing a bunch of different things defensively. The Ravens are now that they weren't doing in the first month of the year. And Amari Cooper wasn't on the Bills. The Bills was also missing Taron Johnson. They were also missing Matt Milano. So that's huge for their defense. Those are the 2 best defensive players this year. So you can throw out that week 4 matchup. That means absolutely nothing. But for the Ravens to keep this close and for the Bills to keep this close, first off, for the Ravens, you got to feed Derrick Henry. You have to. Bills are used to running 5 DBs or 6 DBs. That's too small with Derrick Henry, especially with Tylan Wallace blocking on the outside, Tyler Linderbaum getting to the next level. That's way too small for the Baltimore Ravens offensive line if you want to run 6 DBs. A lot has been made about Zay Flowers. I don't think he's playing, but he may be used as a decoy tomorrow. But on the other side, Rashad Bateman has definitely stepped up. Rashad Bateman is looking like the Rashad Bateman that they drafted in the first round. I think he had 9 TDs this year, 9 of those 40. Rashad Bateman is definitely running routes crisp, catching the ball a lot better. Just on the same page with Lamar. And then the first offseason he had this offseason where he didn't have to rehab. He could just work on chemistry and work on cuts and just, strength train instead of trying to rehab something. And that's clear. So you got Rashad Bateman on the outside, got Nelly in the slot, who's coming back off of a concussion. You got Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely as the tight ends. They need to keep Matt Milano busy so that this run game can go off. And Lamar finally has put together his running and his passing in the playoffs. He need to do it again. You just have a skill set that's better than anyone that's ever been in the NFL with running and passing, and he needs to use both this weekend. On the other side, you got Josh Allen, who's just as skilled running and passing the ball as well. Not as good of a runner, but a better passer, quote unquote, this year. But he's doing, quote unquote, more with less. So James Cook if he ain't going to equal Henry, he got to keep up with Henry on that side of the ball and keep the Ravens on the sidelines. Amari Cooper got to step up. Like I said, the last time they played, they didn't have Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox are the top targets. I'm looking out for Shakir on the in a slot, especially when he's not working against Humphrey. If Shakir is working against Brandon Stevens, I'm taking that matchup every time. If Cooper is matching against Brandon Stevens, I'm taking that matchup every time. You got Kyle Hamilton went from playing closer to the line. They're probably moving him back to take away the over top. So we may have Chris Boyd as a spy for Josh Allen to make sure he's just throwing it and not being able to use his legs. Like I said, it's a lot from that week 4 matchup that the Ravens have changed defensively. When they were towards the bottom of the league, now they're at the top in a lot of categories. So you can just throw out that week 4 matchup because it's just a completely different team. I don't even think Dean Pease was actually on the staff yet at that point. So I do see this game being close. I'm giving Baltimore a 10-point win. Let's just I'm gonna give them a 3-point win, 34-31 this week. In this matchup, I'm giving Baltimore the slight edge over Buffalo. I just think it's too much, too many offensive weapons, and the defense has definitely changed what they do. And in this cold, if you can keep Josh Allen with limited possessions, you may get him to force. You may get him to try to throw and do amazing when he just needs to do good. So I'm going to go with Baltimore in this 10-point matchup, or I'm sorry, 3-point matchup, 34-31. All right. Before I get out of here, so last week the Patriots had a opening that has now been filled by Mike Vrabel, which I thought they were going to do last year. I don't know why they hired Gerard Mayo, but it's here now. But out of these teams that are still available, you got the Cowboys, you got the Jaguars, you got the Raiders, the Bears, Saints, and Jets. Which coach do I think should be at all of these teams? First off, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I'm going to go with their former offensive coordinator, the current offensive coordinator of Philadelphia Eagles. Kellen Moore is going to go back there. I don't believe that Deion Sanders talks are legit. I believe that they are trying to help Deion with contract negotiations in Colorado and keep him, boost his numbers up, boost his pay up. And he got the Heisman Trophy winner and probably the number one or at the very latest, number 2 quarterback coming up the draft. He should definitely stay at Colorado and continue to build that program. So I got Kellen Moore going to the Cowboys. He's already familiar with that. He's already familiar with Jerry Jones. He got familiar with the division. He coached the Cowboys for a few years. He coached Philadelphia this year. He knows the division very well. I think number 1 pick for the Cowboys is going to be Ashton Genty in the first round out of Boise State. And his run game damn near got Saquon Barkley the record. So, building up the offensive line in Dallas and getting a franchise back with Kellen Moore, I believe that should be the play for Dallas Cowboys. For Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they need a defensive mind. I think they need a coach that has already developed a culture somewhere. I believe they need a coach that has familiarity with working with young quarterbacks. And for that, I'm going to go with Pete Carroll. They were 5-11 when he took over. And then in 3 years, he got them to a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl. So I think I can see him doing that because Jacksonville has a good young defense. Foye, you have Tyson Campbell. You have Trayvon Walker, who hasn't unlocked what he could do yet. So I just think they have a lot of young pieces on that defense, and he could be the one to get them together. So for Jacksonville, I'm going with Pete Carroll. For the Raiders, they need offense. They need something young, innovative, something fun. They are in Vegas. And for that reason, I think they're going with Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator currently for the Detroit Lions, one of the best young minds in the game. I think he's going to have a Sean McVay type of impact for the Raiders. For the Bears, again, stability and someone who's used to working with young quarterbacks. He worked with a young Aaron Rodgers, worked with a young Dak Prescott. So I'm putting Mike McCarthy at the Bears. I don't know why Jerry Jones knew damn well he wasn't bringing that man back and told him he couldn't interview with the Bears. But I think they finally get that interview, and that's the coach for them. All right, for the Saints, horrible job. Horrible job. I do not wish this job on my worst enemy. They have no salary cap, and they need a quarterback. They are in one of the worst divisions, however, so that's the only upside for this damn job. Wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but a coach that I like, respect, and admire, and is already a Super Bowl champion, I think Doug Peterson gets hired by the Saints. I don't think he does anything much for them. If I was Doug P, I would go ahead and be offensive coordinator, offensive consultant somewhere. But I think he takes that Saints job. And the Jets, they love defense. They love defensive culture. They're not going to be able to get, I don't think Rex Ryan is going to go there. So how about the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, Aaron Glenn? Again, this is one of those jobs that I don't wish upon my worst enemy. The Jets have constantly been a terrible franchise. They need a quarterback. This is not the draft for quarterback, so they probably going to be at the whim of Aaron Rodgers again. And Aaron Rodgers is the type of quarterback that will be rah-rah and say he's all in and retire in training camp. Like, that's just the type of instability that you get with Aaron Rodgers. So I think the Jets have dug a hole, and Aaron Glenn is going to be the one to be the next one to get the blame that the Jets is still the Jets. So that's what I will put there, unfortunately. I think Todd Monken gets a head coaching job. I don't know where he's the best fit for. I definitely don't want him going to Chicago. Never had been a head coach. I actually don't want him to leave Baltimore selfishly, but I think he gets a head coaching job somewhere. But that's going to be it for my show this morning. Like I said, games start at 4:30 today. And there is a conference. I'm sorry, the college championships is on Tuesday. Ohio State versus Notre Dame. It's not even going to be close. That's why I didn't mention it. Ohio State by 20 over Notre Dame this weekend. That's not much to talk about on that. That's not even a close game. But like I said, continue following Al U Buggin on X and Instagram at Al U Buggin. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Go to Twitch. I have a Twitch channel as well. So we broadcast live right now from both of them. So I don't know where you're watching it from, but as they say, spam that like button, spam that subscribe button. If you can't spam the subscribe button, I don't think you can spam the like button. But you know what they say. Be blessed, be productive, be more. We love you. I'm out.